What is the best story you have ever read or watched? What makes it interesting for you? I'm excited to hear your responses. Hi guys, welcome back to my class. This is Teacher Adam, and here's your weekly dose of English lessons. As promised, today we will have a separate discussion about an element of the story called the plot. The plot is the structure of a story. It arranges the events in logical sequence. It is the foundation upon which the setting and the characters are built up. It unfolds the major events that move the action into a narrative. That's the reason why I made a video specifically for it. So join me today as we learn the elements of a plot. The first element of a plot is called exposition. From the term expose, it reveals some of the important elements of the story, such as the setting, which introduces where and when the story took place, and the characters. The second part is the rising action. It builds up the plot by showing the conflicts, which are known as the challenges faced by the characters or the problems that must be solved in the story. These inciting incidents are considered the most important element in the story as they disrupt or challenge the protagonist's journey. There are different types of conflicts a fictional story may include, and they are the following. The first one is called man versus man. It shows two or more characters having opposing desires or interests. This is the conflict between Jean Valjean and Inspector Javert in Victor Hugo's Les Miserables, who clashed due to their conflicting opinions on justice and mercy. The second one is man versus nature. In this type of conflict, a character is tormented by natural forces such as storms or animals. This is one of the conflicts in Herman Melville's Moby Dick, which tells the story of a man's obsession with overcoming nature, specifically a whale. The third one is man versus society. In this type of conflict, the character stands at odds with societal norms and realizes the necessity to work against these norms. While the characters of George Orwell's Animal Farm are animals rather than people, it still illustrates a story driven by rebellion against the society as the characters struggle against a corrupt power structure, create a new society, and continue to experience struggles within the new society. The fourth and last type is man versus himself. This conflict develops from a protagonist's inner struggles and may depend on a character trying to decide between good and evil or overcome self-doubts. It can also be a disability, a psychological issue, or anything from within the character. The main character in Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray, who possesses extraordinary personal beauty, struggled with difficulties in overcoming his vanity, causing him paranoia and trust issues, which eventually led up to a dramatic and suspenseful death. After exposition and rising action comes climax. It is the peak of the plot where emotions and tension are heightened. It is also called the turning point of the story, where the protagonist is transformed. Contrary to what most people expect, climax may not always be a big event. It can be very subtle, just as how a character experiences an inward realization that will influence his decision-making as the story progresses. Climax leads to the fourth element of a plot, which is the falling action. This is the part where the protagonist shows changes. More challenges, revelations, and meeting will occur as the story heads to the resolution. The resolution is the part where the protagonist will overcome his challenge. Finally, the falling action will lead to the denouement. It is derived from the French word dénouer, which means to untie. Denouement is a literary device that reveals how the issues of a complicated plot are solved. Denouement also reveals the theme and lessons of the story. But what is good about denouement is there are times when the audience expects that the story is already ending when a plot twist suddenly arises. In this fight scene in the novel-turned movie Breaking Dawn, the story seemed to be ending with a battle between the main characters and the Volturi, with, of course, Edward and Bella killing the chief of the villains. Surprisingly, it turned out to be just a vision of one of the characters named Alice. As the conflict or problem is resolved, the story reaches its ending. In literature, there are two classifications of how a plot ends. The first one is happy. It happens when all of the main characters live. But when a character playing a lead role dies, it is considered tragic. This classification originates from the dramas performed back in the classical Greek and Roman days. In the original version of the classic tale The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, there wasn't really a happy ending, as the mermaid didn't really marry the man she loves. The prince married another woman whom he thought saved him from drowning. The only way the mermaid can live is if she kills the man, so, in the deep ocean, she just vanished like sea film. After learning the different elements of a plot, it will also be helpful to understand it by knowing its different types. And it has 7. The first one is overcoming the monster. The protagonist defeats an evil force that threatens him in his homeland. In the popular Old English epic Beowulf, the protagonist Beowulf killed the monster Grendel, who plagues his place called Geats. The second type is rags to riches. The protagonist gains power and wealth, loses it, and gains it again. These experiences help him grow as a person. Aladdin is a great example. The third type is the quest. The protagonist and the companions set out to acquire an important object or to reach a location. Along their way, he and his people face obstacles. The Lord of the Rings is an example. Voyage and return is the fourth type. The protagonist goes to a strange land and after overcoming the threats, returns with rich experience. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, The Witch and the Wardrobe fits as an example. The next one is comedy. This includes a light and humorous character with a cheerful ending. The plot gets more and more confusing, but will be clarified by a single event in the end. A Midsummer's Night's Dream by William Shakespeare is a good example. Then we have tragedy. The protagonist's flaw or great mistake becomes his downfall. It evokes pity as it shows the fall of a good character. This is what happened to the main character of The Picture of Dorian Gray. The last one is rebirth. In this type of plot, An event forces a character to change his ways and often becomes a better person. And this happened to the prince, or the male lead of The Beauty and the Beast. It is now time for us to check how well you comprehended our lesson for today. Here is your homework number 22. After creating your own fictional character, it is time for you to write your own short story. The document file that you downloaded from the homework link in Schoology contains the table where you need to write your story plot separated in different elements. The file also contains the criteria for grading. For questions, feel free to contact me. It's time for reflection. So before our discussion ends, allow me to share a Bible verse related to our lesson. Luke 24:6-7. He is not here. He has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee. The Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again. One of the best stories ever written or told is found in the Bible, and our verses for today talk about it. It happened when Jesus triumphed over the grave, and death had no sting on him. I can say that this is the exclamation point of Christian faith. If Jesus Christ remained dead, then there will be no salvation for mankind. But because he resurrected from the dead, we all can spend an eternity with him. What story can be better than that? Praise be to God. That is all for today's video. Thanks for watching. For questions and clarifications, take note of them for the meantime, and let's talk about them in our live class. Or you may also book a consultation schedule with me. I sincerely hope that you learned something today. See you on my next video. Stay safe and God bless.